Hello and welcome to the United Stand. Manchester United draw 0-0 with Valencia. I tell you what, I'm just going to say it from the start. Nothing's changed there. Get him out. It's an embarrassment. It's an absolute embarrassment. You know what? What that performance reminded me of tonight was when United were really good and we used to go and play someone like Burnley and it was their cup final and we dominated them, but they would start chucking balls in the box, the referee was on their side, and every now and again they'd beat us 1-0. That was what that performance was like. It was absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. Tactically naive, boring, and yes, I think we still should have won it because Valencia, I thought their midfield was brilliant. I thought their back four was quite good. I thought their front was absolutely shocking, and they wouldn't have scored if we played till next Wednesday. But they dominated the midfield, and that was an opportunity because they were never going to score. So as the home team, all we've got to do is suck the ball into the net and we get 3 points, and we couldn't even do that. The referee was on our side as well. He was like the 12th man. We got every little dodgy free kick, some deserved, some not. He was handing out more yellow cards than more cards than American Express to Valencia, and he hardly booked our players. He gave us every 50-50, and we still were lethargically slow, crap, and boring. And how has Jose Mourinho only used one substitute? Why did Fred never come on to give us some pace and tenacity from the midfield? He just stuck with Donkey Fellini and Donkey Matic for 90 minutes at home. It was abysmal, absolutely abysmal, and we should have won. We should have won. They sat back for the last 20 minutes because they were happy with a point. I tell you what, if they'd have had a decent front three, they'd have beat us 3 or 4-0. They had so much of the ball. They passed us off the park. Fellaini probably was a 3 out of 10 today. He did okay things in the opposition box, but that Condobia, he could have had a blindfold on. He kept spinning him, turning away, running away. It was absolutely abhorrent. And if people haven't heard what Paul Scholes said before the game started, he said, I can't understand how Jose Mourinho is still the manager of Manchester United after that West Ham game. It's embarrassing how he keeps running his mouth off. And that's from a Manchester United legend who watches the games like we do. But unfortunately, we've got a board who aren't going to do anything. They're not going to do anything. And that result tonight will actually make them think, let's keep him. Because they don't understand football. And they'll think, ooh, that Rashford one that hit the bar, we were so close. He's so close to getting it right. And then obviously Newcastle are so bad, we'll probably beat them on Saturday night. And they'll think, we're on the way back. We'll wait 2 weeks to go to Chelsea after the international break. We'll get absolutely annihilated, and we'll be back where we were before this game, in a position where they should be making a decision to move him on. That was embarrassing tonight from Manchester United at home in a Champions League game against the Valencia team that is bereft of confidence, and you can see why, because they're a good team, but they couldn't finish their dinner. No wonder they're drawing so many games. They can't score goals. And what do? We sit back, hit long balls, and get absolutely played off the park for the 3rd time in a row at Old Trafford against Valencia. I've seen not brilliant United sides under Sir Alex Ferguson, who, when decent teams come to us in the Champions League, regardless of who they are, you know what, to be honest, forget United. I've seen United go to Huddersfield and Huddersfield have got a rubbish team compared to us, but because they're the home team, the first 10 to 15 minutes, they'll get the home crowd up, they'll intimidate the better team, and they'll start creating chances. We're the home team. We're Manchester United. We've got some really good players. And we don't go out and get the crowd cooked. We don't go out and try and force the issue. We don't go out and create chances, even though we've got the players to do it. We sit back and gift possession to Valencia and let them get a foothold in the game. As I said, if they had anybody decent in that front three, we would have been in trouble tonight. They didn't create any chances, but they absolutely annihilated our midfield. How and when? To be honest with you, it was like Sevilla revisited, but Sevilla could finish. It was exactly the same performance as Sevilla back in March, which in itself should be a massive wake-up call to the board, because we've not learnt anything from Sevilla. We've not learnt anything from Derby last week. We've not learnt anything from Wolves a week ago. We've not learnt anything from Sevilla. We've not learnt anything from any footballing team that plays us. We will gift possession. We will let them pass their little triangles through us to the end of the box. I mean, Geddes had the freedom of that right-hand side, his left-hand side, our right-hand side. Valencia was shocking. And like I said, their final ball and their creativity in the final third, luckily, was so bad because their build-up play to that final third absolutely cut us to ribbons every single time. But we're not learning. Mourinho's not even trying to learn. I think he's trying to get himself the sack. There's that performance today. To play Fellini and Matic in a midfield three at home, and then people start saying Paul Pogba was poor. The ball movement is so slow. Fellaini and Matic, they're like crabs. All they can do is stick their little feet in to win the ball and play sideways passes and do it very, very slowly. So that when we actually got the ball to Pogba or Sanchez or Rashford, when they get the ball, they've got Valencia had 8 players behind the ball by the time Pogba got it. When they've got it, they're getting 2v2 situations because they move it very quickly. There was one brilliant bit of play in that game that highlights the problem with Pogba and Lukaku very, very, very clearly, and it happened in the second half. Valencia were coming forward. We had everybody behind the ball. Their midfielder made a mistake. Pogba nicked it off him. Lukaku spins, and there's only Lukaku and 2 defenders because their fullbacks and midfielders have bombed on. Pogba instantly wins the ball, looks up. Lukaku spins. He puts him in down the flank. Lukaku pulls it in and gets a shot away. That's what Pogba and Lukaku can do when we move the ball quickly. But Pogba never gets the ball quickly from Fellaini or Matic. He got the ball quickly there because Valencia made a mistake and he picked it up, looked up, bang, we're away. That's what we can do. That's what me and Lukaku can do if I get quick ball and I can stretch the play. But when he normally gets the ball from our midfield, the static 2, he looks up, he's got 8 players in front of him. There's no opportunity for Lukaku to spin. So you've suddenly got to become vintage Messi and David Silva and do an intricate passing, which is not what Pogba and Lukaku are ever going to do. We don't move the ball from quick enough from back to front. Mourinho set that team up today not to concede goals. And we were lucky because Valencia were very bad in the final third that we didn't. But he sat 2 centre defensive midfielders in front of his back 4 when we didn't have the ball. And we moved the ball slowly. And we didn't go for it until the last 20 minutes. I mean, you got Marcus Rashford taking corners. Poor lad. You know, he could be crossing till 2022 and he won't find anybody's head. He is shockingly bad at corners. Sanchez played on the right tonight. And was still no better. It's a mess from top to bottom. Let's read some of your comments. Nightmare TV says, when is enough? Earlier we get him out, better a chance we have to scrap something from anything. Stabilised us a bit, but has now torn apart the work he's done. Embarrassingly pathetic. I would agree. I thought it was... I know that some fans will be saying, well, we didn't lose, you're being overly negative. Why are you saying Mourinho out? But, I thought that was an embarrassment. That was a home game. You've got to win your home games. You've got to win your home games in the Champions League. And we never looked like we were going to win that game tonight. I think we could have won it if we'd committed more players, if we'd brought Fred on for Fellaini and tried to be a little bit creative. But I'll keep saying this because it keeps happening. We keep playing Matic, Fellaini and Pogba as a midfield 3. It's never going to work. We're never going to win anything. We're never going to finish in the top 4. And I agree with Paul Scholes in what he said. He said, why is that? Well, effectively he said, the manager is an embarrassment. Why is he still in charge of Manchester United? And I agree. I really do. I think, why are you still the boss of Manchester United? Because our board is so poor. There's a lot of people who didn't bother turning up at Manchester United tonight. I can't wait to see what the fan cams have got to say, because there's a lot of people travelling all over the country, or even if you're just travelling from Manchester. So watch that. Absolutely rubbish. Tarhedge says Fellaini was rubbish. Fellaini was class. Mate, you need to watch football a little bit more. On what part of the game did you not see him get absolutely annihilated by Condobia? He kept turning him, spinning him, getting away from him. Fellaini's a donkey, mate. If you think he is a centre midfielder, you need to get yourself down the Championship and watch Stoke a little bit more, because that's Fellaini's level. He is atrocious as a midfielder. He is slow. He put a few tackles in, but we ain't Stoke. We're Manchester United at Old Trafford on a Champions League night, and that performance was just embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. The players that should be winning us the game all had bad performances. Pogba was poor, Lukaku was poor, Rashford was poor, Sanchez was poor, Martial was poor, and they were all poor because they've got Matic and Fellaini behind them moving the ball slowly. I thought Matic was worse than Fellaini tonight, by the way. He was rubbish. I thought Smalling and Bay had good games. I thought Luke Shaw had a good game. I thought Valencia was crap and has been crap all season. And De Gea actually had nothing to do, did he? He had nothing to do. So it is lost. I'm just going to have a listen to something here. Just listening to Scholes there talking about how boring it is, but saying that Mourinho will be relatively pleased. Mourinho will be sat there tonight absolutely ecstatic because he's kept a clean sheet and he's not lost the game, and he can spin his little web of lies and start saying we were really unlucky to not win that game tonight. I saw a lot of effort from the players. Look, I want to say that. This nonsense that Mourinho started last night about, some players try harder than others. This has never been the case. It was never more evident tonight that this is Mourinho's fault why Manchester United are such a dull, boring side. Because the players are trying. It's the formation that kills them. It's like, Lukaku's definitely trying, but he was crap. Pogba's definitely trying, but he was crap. Sanchez is definitely trying, but he's crap. Rashford's definitely trying, but he was crap. They're all really trying, but they're not playing in a system that is ever going to let them perform to the potential and ability that they have. You're not going to get the best out of Lukaku when he's playing with his back to goal with 8 players around him. Same with Pogba, same with Sanchez, same with Rashford. And I'm not making any excuses. Alexis Sanchez has been very, very bad since we signed him. But he's bad because of the team, the system he plays in. I mean, Richard Ajam says Lukaku moves like a pile of bricks. Can't have Pogba be world class if front players don't move and ball doesn't transition quickly enough. I think the key point there is the transition of the ball. What is Mourinho doing to our club? That was a joke, says Fraser. It's boring, isn't it? It's boring, and we should not be sat in a situation saying, well, it's a step forward. Oh, we didn't lose. I saw some sprouts of positivity. What positivity? What positivity? There was no positivity in that game. It was embarrassingly boring. The only positive thing is we didn't lose. Valencia were the better team. We were like a team who's at home when a decent team comes to town and you try and get a result against the odds. There was no quality there. There was no flow to our game. It was just very, very dull and boring. And to have that at Old Trafford, it's becoming, it's gone beyond a joke for a lot of people. This is worse than Van Hal, says Ajay Shinmar. Jose Out, says Marley Stanfield. Rashford and Shaw was good. Pogba okay. Lukaku is lacking confidence. It was slow and boring. I didn't think Rashford was very good. I thought his delivery was poor. I thought he was better than Alexis Sanchez. But I'm not going to be critical of any of the attacking players. In fact, I'm not going to be critical of any of the players. I think Valencia was very poor. I think Matic was very poor. But the rest of the players, I think they're just subjects of a very, very drab, negative formation. And I think that's what Jose Mourinho was trying to do. I think he was. Smash the like on the video, everybody. I want to take your comments, and we've got a lot of people watching, so I really want to take a lot of your comments tonight. Let's say we sold Romelu in January, says it's bookie. I'll stop you right there. Never going to happen. Luke Shaw was good. I thought Luke Shaw was very good because Valencia have got some very good wide players, and they got in down our right hand side against Valencia, but they very, very rarely got in down the side of Luke Shaw. Gary says you've got a witch hunt. I haven't got a witch hunt, Gary. I'm more than happy to take other people's comments, but I've made my mind up on Mourinho now. He needs to go. This is embarrassing for our football club. I think we'll beat. I thought we'd win tonight, and I wouldn't have changed my mind. I'd still be that Mourinho's got to go. I definitely think we'll beat Newcastle on Saturday because they're rubbish. They're way worse than Valencia. So I do think we'll beat Newcastle. But I just don't. Mourinho is never going to turn this around. Never going to turn it round. Ahmed says, I heard someone say this and I can't believe it. We've only won at home once this season and Leicester needed a late Luke Shaw goal. What? Yeah, you're right. I'd never thought about it like that. Mourinho is clueless, says Sheppo. You know what I'm stunned about most, Sheppo, in relation to that comment is that Mourinho was happy with that team. That he only made one substitution. The performance demanded 3 substitutions. With 20 minutes to go, it demanded mixing it up in the midfield and trying to win that game. And he's still stuck with the same Fellini, Matic, Pogba midfield 3. Fred was absolutely essential in that game. I would have started him, but he certainly should have got at least half an hour. It was absolutely amazing that he stuck with it. I'm really surprised. We need to promote Chong, says Jamie. Well, he'd just be ruined. I think Jose has mentally checked out. I think Jose will look to hang on there as long as he can. Udit Batanga says, how can Jose still play Fellaini and Matic? How many games he needs to understand? People blame Pogba, so many points dropped. Last win, the 19th of September. whilst we've got Fellini and Matic in our midfield, we are going to be a boring footballing team. It doesn't mean we won't win football matches. I think we can win football matches, but we're never going to be an entertaining footballing team with Fellini and Matic in the team. And to be honest with you, forget Fellini. I'd rather be more critical of Matic tonight. I thought he was absolutely atrocious. He made a few good tackles, but his ball distribution, he takes more touches than I've ever seen a footballer take. And then he'll take 5 touches and then pass 5 yards to the side. It's just so slow. SJ Johnson, I wish he would check out. Smalling is talking on BT, so Seamus Gilmore. I've got no interest in what Chris Smalling's got to say. Never have had. I think he's a decent centre-back, but he bores the crap out of me when he opens his mouth. He'd probably say the same as me, to be honest. The midfield is lacking, but when are we going to talk about Lukaku, says Hamadou Mangan. I thought there was one good bit of play from Lukaku tonight, where Pogba played that ball over the top. But what about that free kick? What about that free kick, which I thought was very, very generous on Pogba, right on the edge of the box? It needs a bit of culture. It needs a bit of finesse. It just needs dinking over the wall by Paul Pogba, and we let Timberland hoof it at the ball, and the chance has gone. The decision making is ridiculous. But Mourinho as for me tonight, Mourinho has lived to fight another month. Not another day. He's got himself another month now, because Newcastle, we ain't going to lose to Newcastle at home. I don't care what anybody says. We might draw, but that would be enough. So he's definitely got himself through the international break now to the Chelsea game, which for us as a football club is the waste of a month, because we could get somebody in, give them the international break to start making the changes that need to go. All I'm bothered about is 4th place. Seamus Gilmore, he's boring and hasn't got a clue what he's saying. You know what? Look, we're obviously waiting to see what Jose Mourinho's got to say. You're going to get the same old crap. He's going to basically say the players haven't been trying in a very subtle way, but tonight I saw a lot more effort. We were really unlucky. We deserved to get something out of the game. Nonsense, nonsense, nonsense. The players have never not tried. They're just stuck in a boring cycle with you, and you won't let them out. Shaw was the best. And my man of the match tonight probably would have been Eric Bailly or Luke Shaw. I thought they were very, very good. I thought Smalling was good, but he's been very consistent. But at home, should your defenders be your man of the match? No. The whole theatre of nightmares, says James Mudford. I really hope we lose badly to Chelsea, says Fishwas. No, I don't. Mourinho is a psychopath. We need a change fast, says Arlington Fritz. Woodward will look at that tonight and see it as we didn't lose. He ain't got the brains of a football man. He'll see that as we were unlucky, because he'll listen to what Mourinho says. If this was Moyes, the backlash would be far, far worse, says Kevin Murphy. I mean, Charles Van Rooyen is spot on. Where's Andreas Pereira tonight? Not even getting involved in the team. It's a sad, sad state of affairs. Juventus is definitely going to destroy us. I think any team that can play football will cause Manchester United a problem. And when I say play football, I mean any team that can move the ball around the back four, through the midfield, run at us, keep it on the ground, quick players, they're going to cause us a problem. I think if you're a team that, mixes it up or wants to play the long ball, we'll beat you because we're set up to do that. But any team that plays football against United at the moment is going to cause us problems. And if you're clinical, you're going to win. Fortunately tonight, Valencia just, as I said, they couldn't hit the ocean from a boat, and that helped us. Alex Ball says Lukaku won the mannequin challenge. Man of the match, Bay or Shaw, says Joe 1. Kian Roper, the problem is if we wait on Zidane, he will go somewhere else. Get rid of Mourinho now. Not good enough. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you're new. Bottom right hand corner. We will be live again tomorrow at 8 o'clock as we are every single night. And also we've got the fan cams to come. I'm very interested after performances like this, how the fans in the ground feel, because it's a totally different thing when you've had to endure 90 minutes like that. I felt we could have won that game. But if we'd won it, I think there would have been a massive element of luck. And as I said, I'll put my hands up. My jazz hands. I never got to use my jazz hands tonight. We were going to do the old Manchester University thing and not clap or go whoop whoop. We were going to do jazz hands. Never got to use them. But I felt we could have won that game tonight, but we never really had the intent of doing that. Saminga says Mourinho thinks it's all the players' fault and not his tactics. At least David Moyes takes responsibility for the defeats. Andres Escobar says, do you think the Chelsea game will be the deciding factor for Jose to be sacked? I think we'll definitely lose that game because Chelsea play football, we're away from home, and we look absolutely rubbish at the moment. We look like a half-decent team that can finish, will beat us every single game. I mean, Derby were better than Valencia. Wolves were better than Valencia. If Valencia could have finished tonight or been anywhere near effective in that, we were very lucky to play Valencia tonight because I think Valencia are a good team. They've had a bad start to the season and you can see why. They're not scoring goals because in the final third they've got no rhythm. In their midfield and defence they're a good side and their goalkeeper's good, but their final third not very good at all, and it helped us. Gareth Payne says, we're all suffering this nightmare that never ends, but where are our owners? Not at Old Trafford. They're sucking the money out of the people that care. Yeah, look, I can read you the quote that Paul Scholes said, and many people may not be aware of what he said, but it's absolutely spot on. And for that to come from somebody who's on BT Sports, Mourinho is embarrassing the club. And he's... let me read it to you. I'm sat here surprised he's here after Saturday. His mouth is out of control and he's embarrassing the club. It doesn't get more clinical than that for me. I think if this was year one and you drew at home to Valencia, you'd be like, oh, you know what? It's not all that. But there's a culmination of things. In fact, I heard Paul Scholes just saying it then. This has been going on for months and months. It goes back to last season. And what I would say is that, all right, we didn't lose tonight, but there was actually very, very little difference between Sevilla, Manchester United. In fact, if you watch the watch-along, I was calling them Sevilla. It was a very similar game to United Sevilla at Old Trafford back in March to what it was tonight. The only difference was that there was clinical finishing from Sevilla last time. Nightmare TV, I wonder if the owners watch at least 50% of our games. I doubt it. They're probably logging into their online banking every second of the day. Jose Mourinho is too busy to get... Here we go. Here is Jose Mourinho. Let me tell you what he's got to say. This is going to be interesting. Frustrating night. Not the result we want. He said that there is an improvement because if we played like we did at the weekend, we would have lost. So he's basically saying that the players are trying now. If you cannot win, you don't lose. I think we were the team that tried more. Liar. Fair result. He's just been asked what's missing, what's going to ignite the spark. Oh, he's on about last season now. Phenomenal, finishing second. It's a weird answer to how do you get the spark going this season when he's saying that last season was a very, very good season. What's that got to do with this year? He's talking about players raising their level. Don't have the tactical quality to build from the back. I think he acts like a manager that's given up, to be honest. Basically saying they're a quick team, they're a good team, and we worked hard to try and stop them. It's not a bad result. Yeah, I've had enough. I'm not listening to him anymore. So basically, he's talking about an increased effort level. The intensity's gone up. So basically, it's the normal deflect. It's not my fault. It's the players. They're now trying harder, and we didn't lose. And a lose is and a draw is not a bad result. So it's the same old nonsense. But the telling point from there is Jose Mourinho and his riddles and his deflections is what's missing. How do you get your things better? And he starts talking about last season. I just don't know what he's on about. Anup says that Jose's playing a safe game. Gutted the team we love is in such turmoil. 2 CDMs in a home game. This was a getaway card for Jose and he seems not interested. He doesn't hear the fans. And Richard Ajim says Jose basically saying we overachieved last season, so he didn't expect us to be any better with the same players. Let's have a look what else we've got on the live comments. I mean, and Rio Ferdinand has just said as well, you wouldn't want to be one of the centre-backs in that team when the manager is basically saying you haven't got the quality to play out from the back. I'm tired of his speeches, he needs to go, says Stolen. Well done, Scholesy. I'm tired of United legends playing it safe with their comments, says Jid. Remember, drop a like on the video. We're near at 1,000 likes. And I think the great thing is that everybody is pretty much in agreement about what Paul Scholes has said, that the man is an embarrassment to Manchester United now, and it's amazing he's still being in charge. And Rio Ferdinand's just said there, he's had a lot of windows to build a team, and he's still moaning about it. I mean, to be honest with you, if we beat Newcastle, we've got Chelsea, Juventus, Everton, Bournemouth, Juventus, Man City. So if he can get through Chelsea and Juventus with still in the job, playing like that, I'll be very, very surprised. But David Hunt says that there was some booing after the game. He's losing all the fans now as well. Rod V says he's embarrassing our club. How is Valencia ahead of the lot? Karim says that Juventus are going to destroy us 6-0. I think it's always very dangerous to say such and such is going to happen. I think football's a very, very weird thing, and you never know, just because you're playing something. Look, everyone thought Man City were going to win the title against us back in April. We were 2-0 down at half time, and we somehow produced something amazing to win the game 3-2. So anything is possible with this team. But I just think, I said it at half time, I think in the United fan base at the moment, I don't think it's even frustration. I think there's just an exhaustion with this thing that clearly needs to change. It's not a rant. It's not a get out of my club. It's just a tiredness. It's when you know something's over and it needs to change, and we all know it's going to change. He ain't going to last the season, is he? I don't know. I can go back to the old Renault Espace, can't I? It's funny, isn't it? Because my Renault Espace analogy, if nobody ever heard it, I was talking about how year 3 for Manchester United was about winning the title. And it wasn't, the title was like jumping in a Renault Espace, which is a car, and driving down on a family holiday to Cornwall on the south coast of England. You've got exactly enough petrol to get yourself from where you live, maybe in the Midlands, to Cornwall. And that's going to take you to the title. But then you get a couple of shots into your petrol tank, which was a loss to Brighton and a loss to Spurs. And you're not going to get to a title. You don't know how far you're going to get on your journey, but you're not going to get to a title because you haven't got enough petrol anymore. And I think what's happened now is that instead of it being a journey to the title, it's a journey to relegation. And we know that at some point we're going to get relegated. At some point that petrol's going to run out, and that means relegation. We're not going to get through the season with Mourinho. And maybe that petrol will run out after 2 games, or maybe it will run out after 20 games. We're totally in the hands of the board. They should just get a machine gun and absolutely blitz the petrol tank so there's no petrol left. That's what they should do. But I think they're putting band-aids on it, and they're trying to get us through to Christmas, and then they'll try and get us through to March, and they'll stick a bit of plasticine in them holes. And realistically, like I say, just blow the petrol tank apart and make the change. Because we are definitely on a journey to Mourinho getting the sack. I think if you honestly asked Gary Neville, Paul Scholes has already said it, Rio Ferdinand, Gary Lineker, your next door neighbour, you ask, if you did a survey on, is Jose Mourinho going to get the sack this season? I'd guarantee 99% of people would say yes. Of course he's going to get the sack. It's absolutely inevitable he will get the sack because that team's not good enough And even the players that are good enough, he doesn't play the right formation to get the best out of them. That team will lose again to a Bournemouth or a Burnley. They will lose again to a team like that, and they will definitely lose against better teams because they're just not good enough. It's inevitable he's going to get the sack. And I wish I could have 5 minutes with Ed Woodward, as I'm sure somebody with a far better footballing mind than me would, and just sit him down and say, look, this isn't an agenda. This isn't a dislike. We've backed this manager for over 2 years. You've backed him with money, and you need to understand football, Ed, and you need to tell the Glazers this. He's not going to change the situation round. He's not going to do it. It's not going to happen. And it's not a hate thing. It's actually very sad. But for the sake of Manchester United Football Club, you need to sack him. You need to move on and start again. And it's sad that you've done that 3 times now, and I think you're a bit culpable, and you do need a director of football to tell you what football's all about. But this guy you've got in place, he ain't turning it around, mate. Here's my encyclopedia on Manchester United history. Mourinho may as well take a big crap on it, because his logic and his way of playing football absolutely craps all over what this club's been about for decades. And he's never going to change. All he's going to do is grind out boring results like that, and you're going to lose fans, you're going to lose money, and we ain't going to be in the Champions League. He has got to go. He has got to go. And I don't like saying that, and I don't think he will go, but he has got to go. He's not going to turn this around. The only way he could turn it around is if we start winning games. He limps his way to a January transfer window. They give him 300 million. We limp our way to top 4. They give him another 300 million. And we limp our way to a title. But it's never going to be pretty, is it? It's never going to be pretty. Whose fault is it that we can't build up tactically from the back? It's the managers. You're spot on with that contribution there. Jamie Presley, Mourinho is finished. The board will wait until top 4 is mathematically impossible, says Sean Taylor. Well, that's been my line for weeks, because the proof is there. The proof is there, isn't it? We sacked Moyes when it was mathematically impossible, even though for months before people knew he needed to be sacked. And the worst one is Van Gaal. Van Gaal should have been sacked at Christmas. We didn't sack him till May, until it was mathematically possible not to get top 4. And that is your example of why Jose Mourinho will be here for a long time, because we will wait that long. We will wait that long. Sideswipe says Scholes is an embarrassment. I disagree. He's got an opinion. You've got an opinion. That's what it is. When was the last time you saw all them red seats on a Champions League home match, says Sir Sell-A-Lot? Well, we could have won tonight. Honestly, we could have won tonight. I'm not saying we couldn't have won. We could have won tonight. But if we had won tonight, it was crap. It was absolutely rubbish and boring. 2 CDMs at home. 2 big donkey slow players in the midfield at home against a team that's bang out of form, that actually played us off the park a lot of the time. I don't need any time off, Keisha Bear. I feel absolutely fine. I'm just telling you how I'm just shooting from the hip, mate. And I do think it's very sad what's happened to Manchester United. And I think we're in for a long, long wait for this to change. And it ain't going to happen. But there we go. McCaulfield Liam makes a great point. He says, look at the difference between Jorginho for Chelsea. He gets the ball moving forward fast, few touches, and dictates the play, while Matic passes backwards with so many touches. Spot on. Deserves a like. Absolutely spot on, mate. This is why we need a director of football, a footballing man who makes football decisions. The owners and Woodward will be calculating the cost of sacking Jose and not sack him, says Nihaldo. And Paul Scholes is shocked that Jose is not sacked. Board need to sack him, says Rishav. Swedish pundits saying Mourinho needs to go now because he ruins the club. We will draw against Newcastle, says SL Jones. Well, I thought we'd win tonight. I'll say that we'll beat Newcastle as well. Luke Skywalker says Scholes has a united heart and cares about the club, unlike Mourinho, who only cares about his own ego. Watching United is like taking heroin, says Sharp Fitness. Look, don't take heroin. I've never taken it. But if taking heroin is boring, then don't certainly ever do it. The only way the board will listen if they see empty stands, sad but true, says Vosak 1. Well, I don't think they will, though, because those empty seats will be season ticket holders who've already paid their money. So the Woodward and Glazers, they've already got their money. Those seats, whether they're empty or full, doesn't matter to them. They can't make any more money out of that seat because that seat has already been bought for the season. And if Mourinho ends up getting the sack in May, those people will buy their season ticket again because they'll be excited about the next manager. So the empty seats probably don't make any difference at all. We need a Roy Keane. We need somebody on the pitch. I think Sanchez is officially a flop, Benin. I think Sanchez in a Pep Guardiola team wouldn't be a flop because he'd be playing in a team that moves the ball quickly and creates space for him. In a Jose Mourinho side, he's a flop. He doesn't get the ball quick enough. There's too many players in front of him. No player in world football, probably with the exception of Messi, can pick the ball up 30 yards away from goal with 5 players in front of them and do something. It ain't FIFA. The only player in the world who can do that is Messi, and we ain't got Messi. Alexis Sanchez can't do it. Martial can't do it. Pogba can't do it. You can't do that. Against decent footballers, you can't skip past 5 players and do something. And that is the challenge every United attacker faces when they get the ball in the final third in a Jose Mourinho system. You get the ball, you look up, and you've got 5 players in front of you because we move it so slow from back to front. And as Ferdinand said there, Mourinho saying in his press conference that we haven't got the players who are technically good enough to move the ball from back to front. You wouldn't want to be one of his centre-backs because he's just thrown you under the bus again. But on top of that, he's had 5 transfer windows. He's bought Lindelof. He's bought Bailly. He could have sold Smalling and replaced Smalling. Mourinho wants you to believe it's never his fault. We know that. But he also wants you to believe that it's year 1 and not year 3. And he's had 5 transfer windows. And the best example of that is, look at Seri at Chelsea. Look at Conte at Chelsea. First summer, wins the title the first season. And I'm not saying Seri's going to win the title because he's up against 2 very good teams in City and Liverpool, and they're probably third favourites. But he's got them playing a brand of football, and he's got them winning games consistently. And he's only been there 3 months. But Mourinho is talking like he's only been at United three minutes when he's been there for 3 years now. And he's saying, my team can't do this. They're not technically good enough. Well, you've had £350 million to spend, hasn't he? I don't want Conte at the club. Anyway, I shall let you all get off because you've obviously got beds that are going to be far more interesting than that United result. But subscribe to the channel if you're new, bottom right hand corner. Please do drop a like on the video. Get your comments in below if you're not watching live. I'm going to do some tactical thing tomorrow lunchtime at 1 o'clock just to expose just how crap that performance was tonight, because I think some people are still thinking it was quite good. It was a tactical nightmare, but I don't propose to spend another 20 minutes with you doing that. Fan cams should be up very, very soon. I've asked Flex to ask fans what they think about what Paul Scholes has said, because obviously you get some match-going fans who are very supportive of the team and of Mourinho. So be very interested to see what those fan cams have got to say for tonight. Keep an eye out for those. They'll be going up very, very soon. Thanks everyone for watching. Drop a like on the video. Please do leave a comment below. I want to know what you lot think after tonight. I know we didn't lose, but what do you think? Are you happy now? Is this something we can build on? Or are you, like me, this has just got to end as soon as possible? Thanks for watching. Speak to you all soon. And back tomorrow at 1 with me. But watch out for the fan cams. Get your notifications on with the bell.